So let's define monetary policy first. I don't get into social policy too much because I think social policy, when you start getting back and forth about what people's moral right and blah, 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 for me it wastes time, it doesn't complete my objective. I actually believe that fiscal policy is a symptom of monetary policy. So I want to go right to the root of the problem. Instead of treating the symptoms, I go for the disease. Starting off with monetary policy, Lenin. Lenin is the father of Soviet Russia. Lenin said the best way to destroy the capitalist system is to debauch its currency. And our government, since 1913, has done a better job of destroying our country than any enemy ever could. So you understand, if they have a monopoly, so they're the guy who owns the printing press, what we're asking them to do is to use that only for us. It's almost a moral impossibility. You create a moral hazard that they cannot overcome. So they go up there, they turn on the printing press, and they do what they want to do with that money. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's simplistic. So no matter how fancy the supporters make this sound, this is the crux of the problem with our country right now. And it is truly the issues of our times. If we have candidates who are not talking about monetary policy, then they're not talking about anything. The Federal Reserve System virtually controls the nation's monetary system. Yet it is accountable to no one, it has no budget, it is subject to no audit, and no congressional committee knows of it, or can truly supervise its operations. This is Murray and Rothbard. What's very important that ties to inflation, money creation is not wealth creation. You can increase the monetary supply by 135% since 2008, but you didn't create anything. Money, the idea of money, comes from production. We have to make something. You can't just print money. And in that process, as fractional reserve banking increases the amount of money that's in circulation, then the money that you've saved all your life is worth less. So what you'll see is by every amount that it's increased is the amount that decreases in your savings. One of the things that you're seeing here too is the basic argument between Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. I'm a Jeffersonian, right? If you see people who's put Alexander Hamilton as one of their favorite founding fathers, then they are for big government, because that's what he was. And some of the things that he put into our Constitution plague us to this day. But the banks got to stand on their own. What they have done through this legislation has got the free market benefit of profit, so they can profit. But when they get in trouble, when they make mistakes, when they make risky loans, it's a socialized loss. So you understand? They run to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve prints money, and in the process of printing money, it devalues the currency that you saved your whole life. So ultimately, you are the ones who are paying for the bank's mistake. So I mean, if I were a business guy, I would love that. So I get in trouble, I go to the government, print me some money, and I'm okay. And this sounds like a great idea, but ultimately, it doesn't make them competitive. The bank always knows, well, if we screw up, the government's going to come in and help us. What's really interesting is in 1910, in November, 6 men got together. They were 2 Rockefeller men, 2 Morgan men, Paul Woolbury, who was another banker, and the Assistant Treasury Secretary. And these are the men who created the Federal Reserve Act. This act was put into place in 1913 by Woodrow Wilson, shortly before Christmas. I think it was actually Christmas Eve or around that time. Where we can't say anything about it, where they do it right before a holiday. And this literally kicked off the progressive era that we're fighting to this day. Government, this is the Treasury, this is the Federal Reserve. This is very simple, you just have to deal with me. They create a deficit right here. They hand it over to the Treasury. Treasury puts it out as securities. These guys, they print money from nowhere, and they buy the security. So what in the world would make government think that they ever have to worry about that? Ever. Because they know that ultimately we're going to pay for it, one way or the other. What that is, folks, that's taxation without representation. Because by inflating the money supply, everything that we have saved our whole lives is worth less. So that's what I think is the bulk of the problem. If the heart of big government is centralized banking. What it does is it gives them the ability to do whatever they want. Do you think that they could possibly contemplate nationalizing healthcare unless they had the ability to create the money to do it? They couldn't do it. It's not possible. Most of the things that they contemplate, they do not have the money for. And by being able to produce the money, they can grow and grow and grow. If you look at H.R. 1207, which was a bill that was simply put up to audit the Federal Reserve, it wasn't trying to stop the Fed or do anything like that. It just wanted to see if what you're doing for our country is so beneficial, then why can't we see it? And they didn't let us do it. It didn't pass. And what you'll find when you get around the Federal Reserve, it's one of the very few things that there's bipartisanship on. So that in itself should be suspect. Ultimately, if we do not address this, we are looking at a devaluation of our currency. It's not a joke. And right now, the United States is insolvent. We're bankrupt. And we're sitting here, and I'm sure people are wondering, well, why aren't people running around the streets with pitchforks and torches? It's because they're continuing to print money to pay the bills. And they're going to keep doing that until it will not work, until confidence is lost in the dollar, and then our civilization is in real trouble. And I know that sounds super dramatic, but it's very, very true. I want to show you this last thing, and I'll leave you alone. So 7 generations prior to the creation of the Federal Reserve, we had 11% gain in the dollar. So as a grandparent, you could give $1 to your child knowing it would have the same purchasing power when they were going to use it when they were adults. This is since the creation of the Federal Reserve. This is the purchasing power of the dollar since that came into place. There is literally 2% left of the purchasing power of our dollar left. So the game is over. That's what we're dealing with. And for me, why am I doing this? Because we need to know this. Why are we not talking about this? I can't believe that they can create this much money. If you look at the amount of currency that's gone into the system since the 1970s, I mean, we're going along. Nixon leaves the gold standard, bam. This is the same as the Soviet Union. So these are the things that need to be addressed. These are the things that you need to learn about. I'm very happy to continue giving you all the information that I can about this process. This is not about me. This is not about actually any political party. This is us as country people together saying, we are in trouble. We need real solutions. The nice side effect to addressing this is you end big government. It's over. And we need to think that way because everything that we believe in, all the morals, the values, and traditions are under attack. And the only way that we're going to be able to do it is through this.